This is the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Schola in the 3D Security and Training Academy studios.
The man can only ride you when your back is bent, so strengthen it. Then the man can't ride you. American won't be taken for a ride because so much is at stake.
Millennials, where are you? As Madison Rising says, it's time to rally the youth. We need common sense young people to turn this ship around in America. And today, we have writer Sierra Marlee here to talk about that and much more. Governor Palin praises a great friend to America, Benjamin Netanyahu. The governor talks energy in the Lone Star State. Our brand new segment, Liberty and Legacy, with Tamara Colbert, debuts today from Texas. And just ahead, our latest edition of Steel Resolve with Sarah Steelman in Missouri. Welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. The Palin Update is sponsored by 3D Security and Training Academy. Learn more at 3dsta.com. And we welcome Tamara Colbert to the show today. She will be a weekly regular now with the segment Liberty and Legacy. For much more on Tamara and her bio, plus her background with Convention of States, visit mamagrizzlyradio.com. Now, our special guest. She is a writer, a model, and a conservative millennial. That's right, and that's not an oxymoron. Sierra Marlee, welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for being here. First, so people know your take on Sarah Palin. We talked a few weeks ago, and I really liked what you said about the governor. Simply 3 words. You said, I adore her. Why?
Because she is a strong, independent woman. She knows what she wants, and she knows how to get it. You know, she put herself through college. She is not afraid to stand up for what she believes in, no matter how unpopular it is. So I think she is somebody who our young women can look up to and say, that's who I want to be. Because she's firm in her beliefs, but she doesn't exactly try to push them on other people like you see a lot of other women do.
And a lot of times I would say that, you know, her arguments and her stances are popular, but they're just perceived as not popular, right, because of the media coverage that they give to her.
Yeah, the media controls how people think. So if they say, oh, you know, this isn't cool or whatever, or you need to think this way, then that's how people are going to think. And I know that a lot of mainstream America thinks that, you know, whatever she's saying is right, like they agree with it. But because the mainstream media is trying to, you know, push her towards the back, frankly, I think they're intimidated by her because they are doing everything in their power to push her back, to silence her. And they only do that when they know that they're up against somebody that they cannot beat.
Yeah, the media intimidated by her and politicians on both sides of the aisle. And what they try to do is they try to paint her into this picture and make people believe it. Things like that she's not electable or that she doesn't make sense or that she's stupid and all of these things. And the reason why that narrative even gets out there is because it's only a small percentage of people that actually believe that who have listened to her, but they have this big megaphone and it, you know, comes across as a big deal to those who say aren't in the know.
Exactly. You know, there's small number of people can be really, really loud and can drown out the rest of our voices. I mean, that's what I love about new media, because for the longest time, you only had alphabet news. You got MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CNN. You know, you only had their views and whatever they told you was news and their opinions. But now with new media, with you know, the average person who can have their own radio show, you get to see a wider spectrum of opinions. And you get to finally find somebody who say, you know what, I agree with them. You know, they validate your beliefs as just an everyday American. And I think a lot of people are standing up, the silent majority is standing up because they know that there are people out there, a lot of people who think exactly like they do. And they were just intimidated because, you know, this small portion of people have the media.
That's a great point you make as far as new media. You know, Andrew Breitbart obviously fought for that, wanted to take that over, and Sarah Palin has talked many times about infiltrating pop culture, so very good points made there by you, Sierra. Now, as far as your latest efforts, let's tell everyone who you're writing for and what's the latest on the modeling front.
Well, I write for John Hawkins at Right Wing News. I do just weekend stories for him and also for Wayne Dupree. And modeling, well, it's an on-again, off-again thing. Sometimes I'll have photographers contact me and they'll want to shoot with me, and for whatever reason I can't do it or I can do it. It's not a steady thing. It's not something that I can see it doing as a career, but it's a really fun hobby, and it teaches you a lot about yourself, I think, and how strong you are as a person. Because if you can accept criticism from modeling, they are putting you out there purely based on your looks. And you know what? I've been attacked on my looks by everybody and their mother simply because they don't like my political beliefs. So I think that,
right.
Having that out there it makes me stronger as a person. Modeling builds up confidence, definitely.
Yeah, we've said this so many times with Governor Palin. It doesn't matter what she writes on Facebook, what she says. She could cure cancer and AIDS over one weekend, and they'd still find a way to say that, oh, well, she didn't really do it. So it has nothing to, just like the whole situation with her dog a few weeks ago, it had nothing to do with animal rights or with dogs. It had to do with because it came from Sarah Palin, and they went after her. Sierra, a conservative model, that just burns the left up. We spoke about this a bit last week with Jen the Archer and how hunters like herself and Governor Palin and Georgia Pellegrini, pretty women who are tough, that just drives the left bananas. And, now you're saying you've experienced some of that backlash too.
Yeah, usually when you see a pretty person, the generalization that comes out is, oh, they're vacuous, they can be easily led. But when it's someone who's pretty, who is smart, who is firm in their beliefs and has traditional values, they don't know what to do with themselves because they're like, well, I can't attack her on her looks because everybody thinks she's pretty. So I'm going to attack her based on these other things, but other people think she's right. And it bothers them that there are people like that aren't bringing the attention to their side. Because let's face it, people are genuinely attracted to attractive people. So when you're attractive, people tend to listen to you more. And when you have that sort of a platform, that's what they want. They want you to be able to espouse their beliefs as opposed to your own. They want you to basically teach to other people, the lesser people, that, this is what you need to do and you need to listen to me because I'm pretty. But the way they did with Obama, he's a relatively good-looking black guy. And that's all he has going for him. And he was a community organizer. Who elects a community organizer as president? Really. So basically, his looks and his skin color, that's all he had going for him.
Yep, and the backing of Beyonce and Matt Damon and the whole Hollywood thing, and people, drank the Kool-Aid. So many times you talk to people, and if you take names out of it, if you don't say names like Obama, Palin, Bush, Romney, you don't say any names, and you talk about just issues, they'll agree with you, and then you'll say, well, wait a minute, but you voted for Obama twice, so... certainly reasons for that had nothing to do with actual policy. Now, you're a huge Second Amendment defender. I know that must draw you to Governor Palin, too. What are your thoughts on the situation with guns in this country right now? Not only how you feel about our Second Amendment rights, but the attack against guns in our country from Obama and others and the gun grabbers.
Well, I think the only gun problem in our country is that there aren't enough people with guns. And I think that if we had more good guys with guns, that it would definitely bring down gun-related violent crime. I don't think that people like to say, oh, the Second Amendment was intended for muskets and hunting and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And that's simply not true.
Yep, they have no idea.
It was written so that the people had a means through which they could sort of overthrow their government should the need arise. Hitler took away guns. And look how that ended up. All tyrants try to do is take away your freedoms, and they have to take away the very first one, which is the freedom to own a gun. Because without the Second Amendment, none of the other amendments are defendable. Without the Second Amendment, how are we going to protect the others? We can go out and get on our soapbox and say, we need to bring our guns back, but as soon as a government official with a gun arrives, I don't want to get shot, so I'm going to back away. I'm going to sort of silence myself. But the gun is sort of the backbone behind the rest of the amendments.
And when you say people talk about guns and point to hunting and things like that, we're not just talking about a gun.
Generally liberals.
Right. Absolutely.
progressives,
But
yeah.
we're not just talking about a guy on the corner of the street either. The governor of New York, Governor Cuomo, has said that before. So, I mean, it's this crazy logic, and then constituents sit back and go, oh, is that what it's for? So it gets maddening for some, and it's good to see people like you who keep on, working here and trying to put this information out there to those who have very low information. Some more snowstorms and low temperatures hitting a lot of the country. Imagine if Al Gore's global warming didn't factor into the equation, we'd really be cold, right? But what do you make of Obama saying global warming is our biggest threat, bigger than, ISIS?
I think that it's a really, really pathetic attempt to get the spotlight off of what he wants created. I firmly believe that he is a supporter of ISIS, whether it's a closet supporter, he doesn't want to say anything about it. Basically, by doing nothing, silence is consent. And by doing nothing about ISIS, he is effectively supporting their cause. And if he wants to do that, that's on him. I mean, whatever. But to try to throw the spotlight off onto global warming, I mean, really? With all these blizzards we're having and the cold fronts moving in, is it really, ISIS aside, every genocide and rape and murder and global warming when it's snowing, really, we out in the West have had a mild winter, but that's because that's cyclical. Generally we'll have freezing cold, below zero temperatures, and then we'll have a mild winter or two, and then back to sub-zero temperatures. But I don't know. I think it would be laughable, and it would be so funny if he didn't actually believe it, and if it wasn't actually a diversion from real issues that are going to kill us if they come to our shores. Global warming, even if it did exist, we've got a few hundred years before we got to deal with the true ramifications. ISIS, we have a few months, if that.